Hello, welcome to Mind Body Relationship, where we talk about the mind, the body, and the relationship. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Ponsford Hill, psychotherapist, social worker, and I'm here just to do a little bit of an intro because I'm having a conversation with Alex McKenzie. And he is actually an intern and he's working in Barrie, Ontario. And he is talking to us today about how difficult it is for men, especially with the breakdown of relationship, and trying to figure out what it is that they need to do in order to take care of themselves. And so I'm having this great conversation with Alex, who's actually really working on becoming a psychotherapist. He is currently doing his internship in Barrie. He's here to just have a conversation about the things that he's experienced with the breakdown of his relationship, as well as, of course, having to change jobs and starting life afresh. Anyway, if you know of any men out there that might be struggling with relationship breakdown, or that perhaps you are having some sort of difficulty in your relationship and think that your significant other might actually really benefit from talking to a therapist, well, Alex is really looking for you to give him a call. Anyway, so let's listen in and see what it is that we can learn about helping men when it is that their relationship is in difficulty.
My name is Alex McKenzie. I'm a practicum student, currently finishing up my Master's of Counseling Psychology degree with Yorkville University. I'm excited to get started in the field of psychotherapy. It's something that has intrigued me for a long time, and I'm really enjoying the journey up until this point.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Well, I am Dr. Lori and social work psychotherapist here to interview you. And yeah, because we were talking about relationship and the struggle that men have a tendency to have when relationship falls apart.
Yes, yeah, and there are many struggles that men face when relationships fall apart. A lot of the time, self-confidence takes a big hit, esteem issues, feeling like lack of sense of belonging, direction and purpose are questioned. So there are many areas that are quite concerning for men as they transition, into new areas of life and through these difficult transitions that they're experiencing.
Hmm. And you've been in this position, right, where it is that the relationship has disintegrated, and so you have some firsthand knowledge how difficult it is to let go.
Yes, absolutely. I find that, during my difficulties, it was so important to have someone to be able to lean on and to talk to and to share the grief of losing a relationship over, because that's what it is. It is a grieving process. It's something that it was a big part of your life, a big part of my life. And, as we move into or move out of these relationships, there is a huge gap in our life. And, they think there's a lot of difficulty for men in general when there's just a shift in routine or a shift in their life where all of a sudden there's this gap and we're wondering, how can I fill that? Who can I talk to? Who's going to be able to guide me through this? And so I found that being able to lean on someone through this difficult transition, to help fill the void as I navigated the difficulties, really helped me get through it.
That's really good. I think it is important to have a support system. And the one thing that we hear about, in particular with men, is that men don't have that usual kind of like camaraderie with friends and that sort of thing that they can talk to. When relationship breaks apart, a lot of the times people feel the need, even though they're not asked to do so, to go with one party or the other. And
Mm.
so sometimes that can happen. Even families can go with the opposite side than what it is that you think that's going to happen. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so it is really important to have that support system. But if you haven't fostered those friendships to talk about feelings, concerns, worries, disappointments, right, losses, that sort of thing, then it can be very, very difficult. Who do you reach out to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I found that a lot of the times, talking to my therapist was great. It was a safe environment that I could talk to them about and just vent. And sometimes that's all you really need to do is just vent and talk. And that was a huge help for me. But also, having those outlets such as like going to the gym or different social outlets, men's groups. There are men's therapy groups and men's support groups that can really help with that in these difficult transitions.
Hmm. Yeah, I've talked to quite a few men who would really like to be helpful to other men
Hmm.
who are struggling with this very issue. And they have found it very hard actually to foster that group in order to be able to do just that, right? You've had a learning experience, you want to help other men with the ongoing struggle of keeping yourself busy, redirected, establishing a new life. It doesn't have to be actually to do with separation and divorce. It could just be with any kind of relationship breakdown, including death of a loved one.
And I also just want to mention that, like, when we go through these, losses, we'll call them, there is like almost a loss of sense of identity about who you once were. And I think that's a very important piece of the puzzle, as we'll call it, is to regain that sense of identity and that purpose as we move forward through these transitions.
Yeah, there's a lot to come to terms with, I think. All the hope that you had for the relationship, all the hope you had going forward, but also, too, perhaps maybe some disillusionment. I mean, there's a lot of situations where somebody else has entered the picture, perhaps. And so there's that to come to terms with, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those men who are fathers as well, it's there's also that added pressure of maintaining that strong image for your children, and trying not to let them know what's bothering you necessarily, and staying strong for them so that they can see their dad or whoever it is in that role, you know, um, carrying themselves through this with grace and with composure. And I think by having these outlets and these people that can help us get through these times in our life, it helps with regaining that sense of identity. It helps with our esteem. It helps with guiding our confidence and maintaining that role that we've had in our children's life through all these years.
Hmm. It can be a very difficult balancing act, especially when it is that the separation or divorce is not amicable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree.
And that's when it is that things can really go awry, when the conflict increases, right? And when everything's amicable, two people agree we're going in different directions, then they can figure things out, they can talk it through, that sort of thing. As soon as it is that the conflict starts to escalate and it becomes near impossible to discuss things through, to figure things out, Everything's got to be structured and well defined, and it can make it very, very complicated. Just, perhaps even like visiting, right, or having access to the children can be very, very difficult and hard on the self-esteem.
We see that our character is being attacked sometimes, and it's very difficult not to take that personally. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that, you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your abilities as a father and as a co-parent. Be able to take the high road in those situations and really push through those situations, and have that self-belief that you can get through it, because you can. And it's a chapter in your life, mind you, it's a difficult chapter, but maintaining that, composure and that strength that I had mentioned just previously is a huge component to, successfully navigating through these times.
Yeah, yeah. And another area, a previous life of yours, right, was that you were a parole officer. So you come across when it is that things have escalated and become very difficult, and when it is that men have gotten themselves into trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've seen that many times where, men have got themselves into, as you mentioned, times of trouble, and um, experiencing challenges in their life. And I guess for them, I was someone that they could lean on, and I could help them through these transitions, as a correctional officer, and being able to provide some guidance to them was a huge advantage, I think, for them in those situations.
I bet. What did you find was the impetus for things going awry? Was it because they became obsessive, controlling? What would you say? I mean, one big word we hear all the time now is narcissistic behavior, right? That sort of thing. What do you think the main cause would be, looking back on all the different people that you've come across?
I think throughout our lives, we gain a sense of identity, and we really cling to that. And when we're challenged later on in life with, transitioning into a new identity, or a shift in identity, we'll call it, it's really hard to let go of the past and move on from what we really know. And so I think a lot of the challenges came from individuals who were so stuck on who they were, they weren't ready to accept that it was time to move on, and they were very unsure of themselves. But that just goes back to, really believing in yourself and really having that support system in place to help get you through those times.
I bet. Yeah. I think it can be very, very complicated for people, especially when it is there's something that just hasn't been resolved in the relationship. When there isn't that ability to be able to let go, generally speaking, it's because it's not resolved. It just sits there with no closure.
I think that goes back to, it is a grieving process. And part of that process is finding closure and moving on to the next chapter of your life, and being okay with that, and accepting that that is the past, and there are, bigger and better things for you in the future.
So, what is a good way you think for men? I mean, men that might be listening to this that have been in that kind of situation where it is that their relationship is not secure. They might even still be together and it's not secure, right? Like it might feel like the other person is ambivalent. Maybe they're not really there. They might actually be perhaps doing other things that causes a lot of upset and upheaval within. What suggestions would you give them if they were in that state of crisis?
Never hesitate to reach out to someone and talk. There's always a safe place for everybody. That was a huge thing for me as I was going through those issues, was to be able to reach out and to talk to someone, and to really open up and feel validated that, the issues that I was experiencing were normal, and everyone goes through these problems in our relationships and in our lives, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But to always feel safe reaching out to someone and feel safe being able to talk to someone, and it's always okay to ask for help.
That's really good. So you're actually really looking at being a provider for this service for men in particular who are looking for someone to be that shoulder, that someone who has actually had the experience, can give some good advice, to be there in order to be able to foster that sense of camaraderie, even when it is that it feels like perhaps he might be very, very alone.
Yes, absolutely. And I recognize that there's always been a stigma around reaching out for help and mental health in general with men. I experienced the same challenges, and the only thing I can say about that is that I wish I had done it sooner, because it is absolutely one of the biggest things that have helped me navigate through these difficult times.
What is it that you think stops men from actually reaching out? Is it because they're looking for a male counselor? Is it because of that stigma, or what do you think it is? Is it bravado, macho? What?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's that stigma that if we reach out for help, we're perceived as weak. Um, and I also think that and that goes with that toxic masculinity notion where, men should, just kind of deal with their issues on their own and be able to navigate things on their own. But I like to equate it to, you see somebody with a broken arm, and you can actually see the injury itself. Whereas with mental health, we don't actually see the injury because it's internal, right? So by asking for help, that is the way that we're healing our injuries inside. And it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to feel weak. By doing that, we're only going to get stronger, and we're only going to gain the necessary tools to get through, these difficult times in our lives.
Yes, yes. Weak, it's so interesting, right? Like strength is viewed as like holding on, right? Like doing everything that you possibly can. And weakness is viewed as letting go, and it's so interesting, right? Because it's actually really the opposite. Because when you hold on, you have a tendency to strangle, right? And then you get yourself into trouble. And the truth is that that is actually really a very, very weak place to be. Because as soon as it is, the system is involved, never want to be involved with the system, I always say, then you let go of everything. You have no control anymore.
Right. That's right. And by reaching out and asking for help, you're in control of your life. You're in control of the situation that you're dealing with at that time. And um, again, I recognize that, that there is a stigma behind it, but it's always okay to ask for help, and it's always okay to reach out to someone, and, to lean on someone, to chat with someone, to vent, to get that validation that things that you're dealing with are in fact normal, and it's a normal part of life, and everyone can get through it. And it's okay to, ask for help. So.
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah. Well, thank you, Alex. You know
Thank
what?
you.
If anybody is looking for a support system, then Alex is available and is raring to talk to you about your circumstances in order to be able to help you figure things out. Because a lot of the time, relationship is complicated. It's not simple. It's not so easy, right? And people have a tendency to give you easy and simple advice. Well, just do this.
That's
But
right.
it's very hard to just do this, because if it was that simple, you'd be doing it.
We wouldn't be in those situations if it was that simple. And you're right, it's really not. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Alex. Any final words that you wanted to add in?
I guess I'd just like to, say that I'm really looking forward to working with men who are going through these issues, whether that's in current relationships or whether they're going through difficult transitions of separation and divorce. I'd be, more than happy to talk to anyone and be a shoulder to lean on, and someone that they can feel safe coming to for help.
That sounds really good, because there's a lot of complicated situations out there that are so hard to grab a hold of and to figure out. And sometimes they take a long time in order to be able to sort themselves out. But the hope is they do get sorted.
That's absolutely right. The hope is they do get sorted, and I think it's important to remember that they will get sorted.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Alex. And if you're wanting to reach out to Alex, just, contact us, and definitely give us a like. And we're here to help figure things out and hope that you need that help. All right. Well, thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Laurie. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Take care.